Advertising is the practice and techniques employed to bring attention to a product or service. Advertising aims to put a product or service in the spotlights in hope to draw in attention from consumers. Advertising has been around since 3000 BC, and you can find it everywhere from a YouTube video to public bathrooms. In this video, we'll look at the evolution of ads that are in our video games. Adventureland. You might remember Adventureland from back in 1982, a fantasy quest in a DOS world looking for lost artifacts. However, before this 1982 game was released, the original came out in 1978 and was written for the TRS-80. The 1978 version had no graphics and was all text-based. This is when Scott Adams, the creator of Adventureland, coded in the very first video game advertisement. It simply read, "Go to your favorite computer dealer for the next adventure program," and a phone number to give to the store if they did not carry it. Times were sure different then. The 1980s is what I would consider the experimental time for video game advertisements, as Coca-Cola paid Atari an undisclosed amount of money to recreate Space Invaders to Pepsi Invaders so they could hand out the games to their salespeople at their yearly convention to help boost morale. In 1982, Pole Position, arguably one of the best arcade racing games ever to be released, was debuted. It featured billboards of Marlboro cigarettes that sparked lawsuits from Philip Morris as it was not authorized and the ads target kids. Atari and Namco insisted it was a misunderstanding as they were trying to duplicate the most authentic racing experience, and the Marlboro billboards were at the actual racetracks that were sponsored by Marlboro. The game ROMs were recalled and the billboards were changed to advertise Atari games like Centipede and Dig Dug. But you will need to go to 1984 to see the first paid advertisement from a company to be placed in a video game, and that was Micro Olympics, as the software company brands of the time were advertised on the sides of the track. It was also in 1984 when Anheuser-Busch teamed with Bally Midway and created Tapper, an arcade game where you would serve beer to the customers. There was also a root beer tapper so the kids could play at the arcade. By the time the 90s hit, home consoles were all the rage and the technology was evolving from pixels to 3D graphics. Pepsi jumped on the bandwagon and created Pepsi Man, a superhero game that was not released in the US and it was a complete flop. However, the small company of Neversoft changed the face of marketing in video games with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. The game featured real-world athletes, skateboards, clothing, and even licensed music. Now, while you can find product placement in the video games, the sports game is where you really find the advertisements. Go to any sporting event and look around and you will see advertisements everywhere. And in the 2000s, graphics were getting even more realistic. And when you look at the game NASCAR, die-hard NASCAR fans do not want to play with unsponsored race cars, so instead of companies paying video game developers, developers started paying the companies for the rights to use their images. So if you go to a soccer match, football game, or a PGA tournament, and you forgot about what you saw on the billboards, you'll see it again in the video game. Technology and games keep evolving, and so is the advertising. I would not be surprised if you see advertising in the night sky soon. Thanks for watching. Consider a like and a sub. And as always, I hope to see you on the leaderboards.